Who is your most embarrassing member of your family and why? My brother is the kind of guy who thinks he knows everything. It's like it's impossible to tell him something he doesn't already know. He asked how I cook the turkey, which everybody loved, on Thanksgiving. Then proceeded to tell me how I should have done it. It's like that with everything. He has been fired from every job he's ever had, usually in less than a year. Just insufferable. Can't wait for Christmas. Had an uncle who murdered my other uncle, his brother, over pee. Spent 5 years in prison. Came out as a preacher. Joined the KKK. Got caught with a gun. Thrown back in prison. He sexually assaulted some kids. Few years down the line he killed himself. He was an embarrassment to the family. But if you ask my family, it's me because I'm a lesbian. Sheesh. There's nothing wrong with being a lesbian. Some people need to grow up. My mother. If she feels the urge to pee or poop while in public, she will go wherever. I can't tell you how many times she's pulled over on a busy road to take a crap, or gone in a parking lot or in my yard. Doesn't care if there are people around either. My cousin is in jail again. Drugs and or burglary, I'm sure. In his 20s he was a clean-cut guy with a family and a job. Now he's a middle-aged bum looking for his next high. My dad's brother. Big mouth. Loud. Opinionated. Talks over people. Is insulting. Thinks everyone is dumb and he is a genius. Borrows money off family and doesn't pay it back. All around a piece of crap. She doesn't embarrass me anymore. Let me explain. My aunt was known as the unhinged one who would go on loud and long tirades about various liberal policies and was considered too unstable to attend events. When my family started to provoke me for being liberal, I understood my aunt. They antagonize and start fights under the guise of debate. They are unrelenting. They do not let you decline and they will spend the entire event lingering on the topic and even follow you to another room if you try to leave. They won't stop until they get the explosive reaction that they want so they can later hold your inappropriate outburst against you. Yes, my aunt has problems, but with people like this, who wouldn't? TLDR. I thought my aunt was crazy until I realized my family bullies her. I have an uncle who does it with Trump stuff. He follows around every liberal nephew niece and tries to poke their buttons, then calls them snowflakes when they lash out. Luckily, most of the family knows what he's up to now. My 22-year-old sister. She's the youngest and gets S-faced every family event. Birthdays etc. Last year ended up throwing up in the back of a taxi without making noise as if it just fell out. Covered in it and then casually sat down on the couch like nothing happened. I used to drink at events because of severe social anxiety and I handled puking well because I was bulimic. I was always the embarrassing one, but there was a reason. My mom's cousin is one of those really shady people who is very wealthy but you don't know how he made his money. Every time he comes to a family event he comes in a limo with his Russian wife that he met on a website. He loves to flaunt his money. Ugh. I hate to say this, but my uncle, he's the nicest guy, fun to be around, but he's a 50-plus-year-old addict and alcoholic. He's also a hoarder and a thief. When I visit, my cousin always invites me out and his dad comes along. I don't mind because, like I said, he's a nice guy, but it's embarrassing. He looks like a heavy drug user and talks really loud about people because he thinks they can't hear him. My mom. She's a born-again evangelical with extremely right-wing views since about the age of 50. She was born a Jewish woman from New England who wanted for nothing and has driven luxury vehicles her entire life. My dad spoiled her rotten. She's surrounded by college-educated progressives, doctors and lawyers and brokers and accountants all over the family. Something in her brain broke and she pretty much has assumed the identity of an impoverished mama from Kansas with 2 sons who served in the military. My brother and I are professionals. He is a compliance attorney and I'm an IT director. She's embarrassed and tells her church friends we work with our hands. That's fine on its own. But when she goes on Hannah-esque rants about Muslims and transgendered people and wokeness at Thanksgiving dinner, without knowing dog shit about anything, it's very embarrassing. According to my relatives, I am. Because I am shy, introverted, not so successful as my brother and not married and have children already. My great aunt. She gets really drunk and does crazy crap. She's the type that will come ringing the doorbell at 6 o'clock in the morning and make a big scene for the neighborhood to hear. Every one of my ex-wife's fam, the oldest Bill who had to sign everything over to his grandpa so he didn't have anything worth being sued for, the deaf Mill who liked to drink and got louder after each one, the very wealthy grandpa who told me an incredibly racist joke a minute after meeting me, the Phil who was also racist and a gun freak, the youngest Bill who was flaming gay and a drug user, but the best of the fam, and the middle Bill who was a functional alcoholic, functional most of the time. The stories I could tell after spending 8 years in that marriage, it was like the soap satire, except reality. Okay, now I can't sleep without one or two of these stories, please. I hope I don't read one of the comments and think holy crap, that's one of my family members writing this and this is about me, lol. That being said, my cousin, he's an alcoholic, gambler, a thief, hits women and has threatened to kill my uncle, my auntie, and my mother, the ones who have always helped him. He's had years of us all trying to help and love him, but once he turned to violence, he was completely done with. He's a total embarrassment and a total loser. The best way to describe him is that he's a proper C. Glad I got that off my chest. My aunt on my dad's side, she got into drugs super young, had a bunch of kids and messed them up, and she's in jail now with her kid taken out of her custody and living with her best friend. Probably me, black sheep, cut off contact for more than 2 years. I assume they're ashamed of me, but I feel much more sane. My uncle, classic QAnon Trumper. Family and I cut contact with him when he's starting posting white supremacist dog whistles on Facebook. This guy was always conservative, but never on this level. Crap is so embarrassing. Wish we didn't share a last name. My eldest niece, major drama queen, puts herself out there and goes way too far, and everyone knows she's my niece. Hates everyone on her father's side of family and doesn't explain why. Has 5 kids with 4 different guys. No job. Thinks she's high and mighty too. A major drama queen who is an attention-seeking narcissist that shows open contempt for half their family. Has kids from multiple partners due to inability to commit and build a healthy relationship with another human being. And is currently unemployed. Sounds like former President Trump. I can't think of any family member who embarrasses me. Not that we're all perfect. Far from it. Nevertheless, I don't think any of us are embarrassing. Maybe that means it's me. My brother-in-law, my wife's aunt, who lost her mom to COVID November last year, is having the family Christmas dinner at her place this year, and only vaccinated family members are allowed to go. Brother-in-law's an anti-vaxxer and crazy conspiracy theorist despite his fiancée having gotten COVID in January and is still dealing with health issues related to it, but he refuses to get vaxxed himself or let her do it either. He still doesn't believe there is even proof COVID exists or that the vaccine even works, despite 7 out of 8 people in hospitals for COVID in my province are unvaccinated. He is the only one in the whole family who refuses and therefore will not be allowed to be at Christmas dinner this year, and nobody, not even his parents, feel bad for him. But he refuses to get vaxxed himself or let her do it either. Yay, controlling your woman's body is so hot right now. Me. I just feel like I don't belong. My dad and mom got separated because my dad wasn't a good parent. My mom found someone new and had my 2 sisters, who were planned, but I hate being the odd one out. Everyone else in my family has both a mom and a dad related to them. I'm just partially part of it. Being reminded that my mom's not ideal partner makes me feel like a mistake. I honestly just wish that I was planned like my sisters were, so that I could fit in and not be some happy accident. This hurts to read because this could be my niece. Her stepdad is my brother, and even though she's not biologically related to us, she's just as much family as her half-sister is. We love her so much, and I'm sure your family loves you too. And if they do treat you differently, then they're not only embarrassing, but deeply cruel. I'm from a massive family, so there's lots to pick from, including myself. One brother though, we all like to drink a bit and smoke a bit, but across the board are a very quiet group of drunks. I remember the first time I met someone who would get belligerent when they drank, I was so surprised. Drinking is so much fun on its own, why add drama? So this brother has had back-to-back roaring alcoholic wives. The kind that yell inappropriate things in front of your Catholic mom for no reason. then cry when they are gently reprimanded, then rage if you dare tell them to please shut the F up. My brother himself has become a real piece of work. He showed up to the last 2 weddings mid-reception, totally missing the ceremony. At one of them he said to my wife, "I haven't seen you guys since your wedding." Not true, since he skipped my wedding due to some weird religious reason according to one of his aforementioned alco wives. Anyhow, he showed up at my nephew's wedding looking and smelling like a feral raccoon and proceeded to load up food into to-go containers for his sick wife who couldn't make it to the ceremony. She was high as F, not sick. It's really sad to see, as all the rest of us have sort of had our trials and just muddled through, but he seems to have gone off that deep end and just thrown in the towel. My cousin. He had a kid when he was 15 that he doesn't bother with. Joined the armed forces at 18 because he wants to shoot people. Failed to become a police officer, so he's a corrections officer in one of our state's prisons. I could not be more ashamed of him. TBH. My super religious aunt who lives across the country and is barely involved in our lives, yet likes to occasionally pop in to tell one of us that she's worried about our life of sin or some crap. I stopped listening to her a long time ago, but I cringe every time my mom brings up something she said on Facebook. OMFG. I've never really opened up about this, and TBH, I haven't talked to the guy in 13 years or so. My biological father is like a real life version of Frank Reynolds from It's Always Sunny. He always has some immoral get rich quick scheme rather than working a job, and ruins everyone's life that comes into contact with him. I don't think it's completely intentional, but he has a way of getting people to trust him and then they allow him to give advice on their problem, which inevitably leads to ruining their lives. I hadn't seen him keep a friend for more than 5 years and it always ended with "How is, insert name here, doing?" and he'd respond with, "We don't talk about them anymore. They're a bad person. Make up lie about them here." Probably my aunt Kimberly. She's on my mom's side of the family, been through a divorce, and still lives with her mother in a crappy house in the Tri-State area, along with her son. My younger sister is a very self-absorbed person who can never do anything wrong and is extremely critical and judgmental of everyone. She gets freaking pee whenever you say anything at all that could inconvenience her in the smallest way possible, and she never apologizes and just argues with almost everyone she meets. My older sister is very loud and laughs at everything and makes horribly unfunny jokes that she thinks everybody needs to hear. On top of that, she never follows through on plans I make with her and never thanks me for anything. You choose. My grandpa, probably every Thanksgiving he shoots himself. This has happened for the past 5 years and my parents refuse to not have him at Thanksgiving. Not sure I can pin it on one person, because my entire family is just exhausting to be around. Now, I'm not saying they're bad people. Heck, they're awesome. But everyone who carries my surname or who was born to someone with this surname, her maiden name, suffers from the same thing. A massive personality, a large family of loud and proud Irishmen and women extending from the grandparents to their 7 kids, 4 of whom are married, and 6 grandkids of which I'm the oldest. My sister being the second oldest and the only girl. You can only handle so much of them at one time, as you can and will get headaches. Yep, my family rules, but they also drive me up the wall sometimes. Grandma Sarah. She thinks that the Jan. 6th rioters were Antifa super soldiers and that Trump is still president right now. My brother, he's 22 and isn't doing anything. He hasn't even tried looking for a job or anything. It's been 2.5 years of him just staying with my parents. I feel that I'm almost the same, so sometimes I try and force myself to do things and I want to get a vacation job, but I'm really stressed about it because all I can think of is waitering and I'm really introverted. Probably me. Honestly, I'm a non-binary, flamboyant weirdo who probably parties too hard and drinks too much, and smokes too much weed and plays too many video games. But they don't see my successes, which I busted my butt for and achieved, so I don't really care how much they're embarrassed by me. I'm awesome and I freaking earned this. You're invited to my Friendsgiving next year. You sound like a blast. My mother's older sister. Verbally and emotionally abused her husband to the point he developed neurological issues. Divorced him, taking 75% of his wealth and property plus keeping his daughters from him, berated my grandfather for paying for 75% of his granddaughter's wedding costs instead of 100%. Laughed in front of her sobbing daughters when they told her that her ex-husband had died by suicide due to drug addiction and depression. Lost almost all her money when a random dude online love scammed her into sending him wire transfers in exchange for dong pics and promises of a life together, and now relies on the charity of her daughters and their husbands. But that's more vile. Maybe for embarrassing, it's my cousin who used to do poos in the courtyard of our grandfather's house and accused our favorite shopkeeper of being gay because he kissed his son on the head one time. Lost almost all her money when a random dude online love scammed her into sending him wire transfers in exchange for dong pics and promises of a life together. If karma was ever a thing. Also, she's showing a lot of regressive behaviors, public defecation and such. My mother has gone full-blown canon conspiracy theory crazy, essentially has cut me and my brother off because of her politics. In all honesty, as far as my siblings are concerned, it's likely me. My family is chin deep in intergenerational dysfunction, and as the youngest of 8 kids I didn't know any better, and made a careful attempt to bring the trauma to light, so that it could be healed. At 21, I was systematically shunned from nearly the entire family. Decades later, I'm honestly grateful not to be involved with them. Me. My younger cousins are out there winning championships and getting in top universities, and I still hope I can be successful on YouTube. My sister. She likes to make things about herself and doesn't like to take accountability. The most embarrassing thing though is that she gets angry and aggressive after drinking too much. She's picked fights with our neighbors, cussed at my ex when he answered her call while I was sleeping, and one time when we all walked to the liquor store to get more drinks she literally wanted to fight the cars parked on the side of the road because they looked like they wanted to fight. Probably me cause I'm the fat girl in the family and I live miles away. Everyone else is living in the same state or city. My cousin from my last uncle. He broke the family apart years ago and was really clingy at the time. He even shat himself once at a Christmas party. His parents dropped him off because he kept following me and not going to take a crap. He was 9 when this happened, and would also thrust at the wall like he was fricking it in said party. Never looked at him in the eyes since. Sounds like a sexually abused kid. My niece. She could have had the world, but she would rather do drugs. It kills the family and not many want to talk about her. My aunt is on her 4th marriage after cheating each time, despite never missing an opportunity to claim she's the best Christian there is. She also posted adult videos of herself online aimed toward married men looking to cheat, while she was in her 2nd marriage, and the last time any of us spoke to her, she claimed we were just jealous that she was having the best sex of her life and we weren't. What's funny though is that her first husband lives next to my other aunt and is great friends with the family. We invite him to family reunions and barbecues instead of her. If you ask my family, it's me because I'm a fat queer chick with green hair and I work customer service even though it's beneath me. If you ask me, it's my sister, who fell down the wrong internet rabbit hole and is now a QAnon COVID denying anti-vax conspiracy theorist. My uncle can't hold the truth for the life of him. He ruins every surprise, told me how babies are born at 4, and is overall shared too much information about himself as well. One time he, my dad, and my other uncle bought weed. They all planned to smoke it out in a shack behind our house. They were transferring the weed when my mom asked my uncle what they were doing. He told her that they were gonna smoke grass and he asked if she liked to as well. She busted their butt, got rid of it, and now my uncle is being excluded by my dad and other uncle for months now. My cousin. She can ask the most useless questions and talk about random subject when somebody is literally dying besides her. I'm not even exaggerating. My late paternal grandmother. If you ever wanted to know what an Asian Karen is like, she's your perfect stereotype for it and more. Always tried to bargain with fixed prices. Always the type to demand to see a manager. Throws a literally childlike temper tantrum in public, including foot stomping and jumping up and down in anger, and even went to prison for a few years because she threw hot tea at an employee and got arrested for assault. She was always so embarrassing to be around and I remember just dreading to be around her because she was insufferable. raised by paternal grandparents. Not married to each other anymore but both still white trash AF. Grandma snacks on cold hot dogs dipped in mayo. Grandpa washes dishes by running them in the sink and then putting them away. No soap. I once found mouse poop in the silverware drawer and he just rinsed the forks and put them on the table. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.